A man is playing golf, but keeps missing all his shots, and swearing, until a priest comes up to him and tells him not to use the Lord's name in vain. So the other day I was going golfing with a buddy of mine and my wife asked me why I'm not a pro golfer. My buddy says, "Aren't you sweet?" But, she says, "I seen the Tiger Woods guys golf and you're much better than him." I'm like, "No I'm not, please explain." Well, she said, "He got 70 for 18 holes, and I've seen you get 70 in only 4 thanks dear." A man was traveling the countryside with his 8-year-old daughter. One particularly stormy night they were forced to take shelter in a local mansion owned by a lonely widow. The widow was happy to receive guests and was very hospitable for the 2 weary travelers. I woke up at 3 a.m. to see the ghostly specter of Gloria Gaynor, standing at the foot of my bed. At first I was afraid. If only the little girl knew that ghosts cannot be in the living room. Ghosts are a load of rubbish. Everyone says my house is full of them, but I've been here over 215 years and haven't seen a single one. Just the other day, my father swore he's never seen one, and he died back during the pandemic. So there. Dating my psychotic ex-girlfriend was a lot like visiting a haunted, careful not to come inside. Plot of the others. That's kind of wholesome. So kind of the old lady to go to such lengths to be reassuring. Did you hear about the plan to prohibit the use of Roman numerals? They can try but not on my watch. Sounds like you were livid. 5 Romans walk into a bar. The first raises 2 fingers and says 5 pints please. When it comes to Roman plant life, 1 in every 4 is 1, 2 and 3 are perfectly fine. The last is poison 4. I'm laughing. I see your point. For the 10th time X marks the spot. This would be a brutal blow to all the 10 rated videos. One of the main causes of the fall of the Roman Empire was that, lacking 0, they had no way to indicate successful termination of their C programs. Robert Firth. There are 2 types of people. I would like to extend this joke. That explains why they put a 4 in me at the hospital. Lol. 4 got to agree. I am not for this. I just found out what 51, 6 and 500 are in Roman numerals, and I'm fucking livid. How do men enhance their physical appearance? Workout, skincare, haircut, the gym. You are still ugly, but at least you are in shape. Regular exercise and a balanced diet really help. So many great answers, but an underrated one is correcting your posture when my husband's happier. He's standing taller. He says he feels a more positive energy from people he'll interact with, so it makes him feel better too. Hold your head up. Skincare and good outfits. I've read that rolling up our sleeves helps. Ever hear the phrase death by 1,000 cuts? Like that, but the opposite. Yank the nose hair, get rid of the extra long eyebrow hairs. Get your pants hemmed. All has compound interest. I grew a beard to hide some of my chins. I was furious at my English teacher for dropping me down to a B for missing just a single period. Thought it'd be a grammar joke. Yikes. Good one. I'll never forget when my wife was going through labor the first time and suddenly began yelling out, can't I viewer?" I asked the nurse, "What's going on? Is she okay?" Nurse said, "Just try to stay calm. She's having contractions." Our 2-sentence horror. I think they read professor email wrong. It was dropped off plan B. Are you pregnant? You now have the upper hand over your teacher. He is a passive voice. It's weird how we've never seen a dinosaur ghost, even though billions of them died in very gruesome ways. Dinosaur lips can't make the required woo sound, so they are barred from ghosting. How many other ghosts have you seen? It's almost like ghosts aren't real. We've never seen any ghosts. It's almost like ghosts might real gasp. What about the millions of livestock that are slaughtered every day? Don't really hear about chicken or cow ghosts. No, it's not weird. It corresponds 100 with the amount of ghosts of humans that have been seen. They moved on, having no unfinished business to keep them around. Direct descendants to watch interest in guiding humans to the next level. Dragons are the ghosts of dinosaurs, or they were, until some guy named George ate them all. They all floated away when the meteor hit. What about the Eries from Super Mario World? They can't get sheets big enough to cover them. Many years ago I went to my high school prom. Pros of my high school years: I graduated top of my class, was voted prom king, and hooked up with the hottest girl in my grade. Cons of my high school years: my twin sister and I were homeschooled. Take your damn up vote. If that ain't a roll your eyes and smile joke, I don't know what is. But you fuck one goat. I've always used this exact joke as a around the campfire type joke, except I draw it out as long as I possibly think the audience can handle. Go into details about each of the places: the tux, the limo, the photo, etc. Makes that no punchline at the end hit pretty hard. You understand I can't get that time. Old 325. Did you take her home and then punch the clown too? But at the end of the night I went to kiss my date, but I had to stand in the longest line yet. Even the lesbian gym teacher and my dad were ahead of me. Musk earned roughly $500K per hour since birth, so $139 per second? At Bill Gates' peak he was making $1,300 per second. The joke was that if Bill Gates saw a stack of $100 on the ground bills it literally wasn't worth his time to stop, bend down, pick it up, and stand back up again to get back to whatever he was. This was before inflation money. And yet he can't add a second to his life. The word earned isn't exactly appropriate here. Yeah, it's pretty insane what you can achieve with rich parents. Earned doing some heavy lifting here. Really stretching the meaning of earned on this one. ITT people who have no idea what liquidity is, and thinks he has a bank account with 225B in it. Earned is doing some heavy lifting there. Hell of a price to pay for being a cunt. Earned? What was he doing to earn that money? As in, money is not the same thing as earning it. Till North Korea shot down a U.S. spy plane in April 1969, an enraged Nixon allegedly ordered a tactical nuclear strike and told the Joint Chiefs to recommend targets. Henry Kissinger spoke to military commanders on the phone and agreed not to do anything until Nixon sobered up in the morning. To make things clear, the military commanders talked Kissinger out of it, not the other way around. Theory. Lol. In fairness, it's hard to know how much of this was legitimate, and how much was Nixon cultivating appearances for his madman theory. The entire idea was to appear unstable and nuke happy so foreign powers would be nervous about angering the US. This is entirely within us. Debatable how effective this kind of political ploy actually is, but Nixon probably wasn't going to drunkenly the nukes rip. Kissinger is still alive and recently made the news complaining about too many foreigners. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Till about Shahrazad, a real albeit banned in tournament play Magic the Gathering card that requires the players to immediately begin a sub-game of Magic with the results impacting the original game. Let me introduce you to a card from one of their humor sets that makes you play a sub-game under the table. Enter the Dungeon, a classic card that I'm sure sounded kooky, fun, and flavorful on paper, but in practice was nothing but a headache and a time waster. Imagine running 4 of these in your deck. For context, Scheherazade was the narrator and main character of 1001 Arabian Nights. In the book, she is forcibly married to a prince or king who is notorious for marrying women and then having them executed the next morning. Every night, she tells him stories that always end in a cliffhanger, so that if he wants to hear the end of the story, he has to let her live another day. Till in World War II, when Germans captured a British bomber tail gunner who claimed that he had jumped out of his plane at 5,500 meters without a parachute, they investigated and confirmed his claim and gave him a certificate to confirm his story. Extremely German. One of my distant cousins, Joe Frank Jones Jr., fell out of a plane in the tail section and survived with no broken bones. He was in Believe It or F. Jones, 8th Army Air Force, fell 13,000 feet, suffered no broken bones. Returning from his 22nd mission over Germany in a fortress, he collided in mid-air, fell 13,000 feet in the severed tail section of his plane without serious injury or broken bones. Till on rare occasions, children's lemonade stands in the U.S. have been shut down due to not having a business license or permit. One such incident happened in Overton, Texas in 2015, and when the child's mother tried to get a permit, she was told she would be required to have her kitchen inspected. When she was told this, the officer raised his eyebrows and winked, which I found more disturbing. Wasn't there a company, a few years back, that ran ads saying they had a legal fund and some lawyers specifically to defend kids that had their lemonade stands shut down due to a lack of permits? They sold a powder that could be mixed to make lemonade easily, as I recall. Still get them in my neighborhood in Canada. Nothing more refreshing, emo, so I never pass one up. Is that a Desert Eagle? Nice. I'm gonna need to see a permit for that lemonade stand. Still that when casting Walter White for Breaking Bad, the role was originally offered to John Cusack and Matthew Broderick. It wasn't until after they turned it down that the executive saw Bryan Cranston's X-Files episode and cast him for the role. That X-Files episode called Drive was written by Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan. The X-Files. Yeah, the good to bad character arc with Matthew Broderick would have been terrifying. And I don't mean scary. See, what should have sold him was Malcolm in the Middle. Why not only did BC show a tone of range there, but he also had the Pisco kinda quality about him. Like he'd go from the doting husband and dad to complete Pisco over nothing. I genuinely can't imagine Walter being portrayed by any other actor. Picturing John Cusack saying "I'm the one who knocks" is hilarious. That scene where Walter hits the drug dealers with a car would have taken Matthew one attempt. What are people on Reddit convinced is terrible, but actually isn't that bad. People shit on chain bookstores, but when your town doesn't have any indie shops, Barnes & Noble is vital. Most people's marriages. The slightest disagreement with your partner. It isn't always a sign of abuse or needing to get a divorce. Split up. Sorts by controversial. Reeks of negativity, all the time. Cardio. A lot of Redditors have this weird weightlifting boner, and they dismiss any form of exercise other than big 5 power lifts as a waste of time. Well, the best form of exercise is the one you enjoy and will continue to do consistently. Not everyone likes standing in a room and counting sets. Sometimes it's nice to get outside and feel the power and grace of your body moving through the world. YMMV, the word moist. It's actually fine. Civil debate with someone who doesn't think like you. Being compassionate towards others. What did one black hole say to the other black hole? You dense motherfucker. This joke has a real gravity to it. That is dark. The second black hole had no comeback. Even light can't escape from enjoying this joke. This joke had me hawking up. You're black. You drew me in on this one. And I couldn't escape the punchline. It all matters. I think the following version is, did the marker say to the black hole? You suck. Don't you? I'm blacker and stronger than you. The problem is black holes don't suck. It really matters. You've pulled. Joke's on you. There is only one black hole and the color of it makes me hate it more. You're not heavy. You're my brother. Hey! Give me the way. One black hole said to the other black hole, you're so massive, even light can't escape your charm. Damn sure an event on the horizon on that joke. What is generally safe but can be fatal if not used correctly? Ink cap mushrooms are edible forageable mushrooms, but if consumed with alcohol they become example of why using foraging apps to identify a yes or no answer as to whether something is edible isn't a great idea. One of my favorite phrases is that the only difference between being medicine and being poison is the dosage. Your bathroom. Many people get hurt badly and slip in the bathroom. Oddly enough, we tend to use materials that are rather slick when wet when building them too. Drinking water, salt. Sprinkle it on your food and you're fine, but consume 10 teaspoons at once and you could die. Tylenol. There's a very fine line between safe dose and dose that destroys your liver. Visine. Water. Obviously, we need it to survive. But it will kill us if we drink too much, drink the wrong kind, or fall into a bunch of it. What is the smallest hill you'll die on? If you're going to serve room temp bread at a restaurant, don't serve me ice cold butter. Warm one of the two things up. You can't use exponential to describe every large increase, especially if you're only looking at 2 data points. Utensils need to be at the end of a many places put them at the beginning of a buffet. You don't know what utensils you'll need yet and then you have to carry them around the whole time. Madness. Actual physical push buttons are way better than sensor buttons. Like the Xbox 360 sensor buttons. Burgers come with fries. Stop trying to charge me an extra $7 for 1/4 of a potato's worth of shoestring fries that get cold before they even reach the plate just because you put truffle oil or some other bullshit on them. Burgers should be wider not taller. If you need to put a skewer through it it's no longer a burger, it's a kebab. Probably like 3 feet at my current health. What is the weirdest thing you have seen that you can't really explain? In a hospital, the nicer the patient, the worse the prognosis. If they work charities and are really polite, definitely aggressive cancer. If they are rude assholes who sell coke to children, they will live long no matter how sick they are. My friends and I flashed a powerful light across a river and saw what appeared to be an absolutely massive boar. It then stood up on its hind legs and it simply did not compute. Immediate fear, everyone ran. I was a kid but I have a very good memory and several friends that are positive they saw it as well. I once saw a clipboard fly off of the hook it hung on and land around 3 feet away. The room was totally still beforehand, no breeze or earthquake or anything. Just hanging up where it always was, then flung across the room for no reason at all. Most boring poltergeist ever. What's 6 without the S? Took a minute to figure it out. 9. Oh, in Rome. For anyone who still doesn't get it. 6 without the S is 9, which is the Roman numeral for 9. Ick. 9. And a salong I called 9. Ix. 9 nay on the hombre. Ooh, very clever. Nice. Exactly. 9. 9. Talking me back to my Roman numerals days in school. Embarrassed smiley face. Pi without the pi MC squared. What's a company secret that you can share now cause you don't work there anymore? I'm still in it, but here's an industry secret: if your AC is low on Freon, then you have a leak. Don't let a company make money by topping you off at each visit like it's a consumable. Your system has a leak, and it won't work right until the leak is. Filters are cheap. Don't pay a premium for a service company to bring them for you. You may be upcharged a ridiculous amount for it. Worked at a service station, petrol gas. Every morning at 7 I had to ring a number not connected to the company and report the cost of fuel. Friends who had the same job at a different company had the same task with the same phone number. It was definitely collusion between companies. The 55-year-old man that was noisily masturbating in the toilets every day had a note from the doctor that said he needed to do it. HR had told him to do it elsewhere though. What's an event in history that is so ridiculous it sounds fake? The Erfurt latrine disaster occurred on July 26, 1184, when Henry VI, King of Germany, later Holy Roman Emperor, held a Hoftag informal assembly in the Petersburg citadel in Erfurt. On the morning of 26th of July, the combined weight of the assembled nobles caused the wooden second-story floor of the building to collapse, and most of them fell through into the latrine cesspit below the ground floor, where about 60 of them drowned in liquid excrement. The Gombe chimpanzee sounds like something right out of a Planet of the Apes movie. Thomas Crapper actually did invent the first reliable modern toilet, the kind with a raised cistern. But the word crapper was already a very old slang term by that point. It was just a coincidence. Or maybe he felt like he had no choice. But crap and crapper have nothing to do with Thomas Crap. What's the weirdest thing you've done that you could only tell people anonymously? I helped my partner get unimpacted after a surgery. I am not sure I would ever be successful in the medical field. My wife and her best friend picked me up from a frat party blackout drunk. Then they helped me take a shit on the toilet, wiped my ass, and then gave me a shower and put me to bed naked. Don't remember any of it. I was extremely socially isolated as a child and tried to make friends with the coyotes who lived in the woods by our home. I caught one in a snare and fed and kept her. I wanted a friend. Had sex with a potential girlfriend's mom while the prospect was passed out after a house party. I was drunk. She was drunk. Mom was drunk. Her dad was not in the picture. I once had sex with this is not a joke. I was a very horny and confused preteen. Gathered apple seeds cause I heard they had cyanide in them back when I was trying to find ways to self-eat. What's something that screams child abuse that people ignore? Children who are overly concerned with pleasing upset adults because they are accustomed to being the peacemakers in the home or being blamed for turmoil beyond their control. Kids not wanting to go home from school. Several children I've known who I later found out were abused had a total lack of boundaries and respect of personal space. I'm guessing because their own boundaries were not respected. When the kid would rather stay with a stranger than go back to their own parent. Wetting your pants, long after you have been potty trained. And not wanting to change out of that soiled clothing. Medical issues aside, my family used to think my niece was just lazy and wet her pants all the time. Turns out her POS stepfather sexually abused her from a young age. And the asshole is a cop, too, so the court case is stalled out and justice may never happen. Hippos can swim and run faster than humans. What does this mean? What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? One is gray and heavy, the other is a little lighter. I just go for the biathlon and use the rifle. Though it's a joke, an interesting point is that while a lot of animals can run faster than humans in a sprint, very few animals can sustain a running pace fast enough to outrun humans over a long distance. Humans' superpower is sweating, allowing us to keep our bodies cool in a period of long sustained exertion. Very few animals can actually run a marathon without having to stop to cool down before the end. Stay away from hippos. They will kill you out of sheer unadulterated hate. Hippos can't swim though. Text hippos 20 can 20 even 20 sleep 20 underwater, they 20 can't 20 even 20 float. I am Tom Joubert, story lead on games like Subnautica, the Talos Principal franchise, FTL and the Swapper. Talos 2 releases tomorrow, currently adapting 1984. AMA, with the dynamic between TP1 and TP2 changing from what is essentially a game where you are alone to a game with companionship. Are there still moments of introspect in TP2? The Alexandra Drennan audio logs in TP are wonderful, truly emotional, more impactful because they are the little, lonely bit of humanity in the sparse, lifeless, in-game world. It's a beautiful place, but you aren't allowed to forget that it's an artificial, dead world. Can you say anything about the narrative role of the AD audio logs, how they came to be included? What's AD's narrative role in TP2, where there's many voices and more life? What's the difference between the world being analog, binary, or both? I am a magician. My girlfriend and I just fooled Penn and Teller on the season premiere at Penn Teller Fool Us. AMA except how we did our trick. Do you lose the magic feeling while doing magic tricks? As someone who watches magic tricks, it does actually give me a sense of magic, but I'm curious if you kinda miss out on that as the one doing the trick. What's the process like of being on that show? I've always wondered if the magicians have to reveal the method of their trick to a producer so they can't lie about the method when Penn and Teller make their Did You Two meet through performing magic together? As someone that obviously is into magic. And while it may seem obvious since you went on their show, thoughts on PT? Do they seem pretty genuine, or is it good editing? Do you think they're problematic by exposing how some tricks are done? Did you tell PNT how you did it? That was amazing. I used to be addicted to masturbation, but now I am addicted to sex. Hang in there. If you beat addiction once, you can beat it again. It was a gateway tug. Hey, that's a step in the right direction. Couldn't get a grip? Best to take a hands-off approach. Thumbs up. Fuck sex. Congrats. Decent joke, but definitely not a dad joke. Why not both? If you're not careful you might give yourself a stroke that comes with little warning. Consider being near an area with privacy. I like this joke. What goes around comes around. Marry her. Glad you could beat the addiction. Sounds like you might have to take matters into your own hand. If you were challenged to consume 20,000 calories in a single day, you will earn $1 billion. How can you achieve this? Milkshakes. Definitely milkshakes. I remember once eating a survival ration made to be as calorie dense as possible. It had the texture of greasy sugar, and tasted kind of like a cinnamon graham cracker. While they were heavy in the stomach, by sheer volume I'm sure I could eat 20,000 calories of them in one day. Correct answer here is chug a bottle of olive oil, and shit yourself 5 minutes after they hand you the money. The Cheesecake Factory is their white chocolate raspberry truffle, with 1,930 calories per slice. So 10 slices of this plus a Big Mac. 2 large bags of Kirkland Trail Mix is about 20,000 calories. Just snacking on that for the full 24 hours and occasionally washing it down with some pop should get you there no problem. My wife refuses to admit if she masturbates. You'll just have to catch her red-handed. Period. Come again? But if she is awesome at baiting your hook, then she would have to admit she is a masturbator. Sounds like she might have been rubbed the wrong way. If a threesome is with 3 people, and a twosome is with 2 must make me handsome. Glad you figured that out. She's afraid that you'll find it hard to swallow. YSK masturbate is the correct spelling in this context. Not to be confused with a masturbator, who is a profession fisherman. Both involve semen, so to speak. She does it undercover. This joke made me jerk my head twice. Why am I laughing so hard? I hope you can screw better than you can spell. This whole story smells a bit fishy. FK. I'm willing to admit I self-pleasure myself. It's my MF body and I know my sweet spot better than anyone. Maybe she's afraid you'll think differently of her? No movies have shown what it actually looks like when someone has died. Fuck, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was a war movie I think. They showed the eye glimmer and the pupil change. Having seen the eye of a dying and then dead person, I can say it was very spot. It was We Were Soldiers 2002. Thanks to you Brandisco. I think it depends. I've seen a few dead bodies in my lifetime. My mom, grandma, grandpa, my cousin, my classmates. Some of them looked the same, some of them looked different. After my mom passed away, she looked like she was sleeping. Up to the point where I questioned was she actually dead. There are a lot of factors that affects the conditions of the body, so I think it depends. I don't think it can be matched on a live person with just makeup. The person would have to be really sickly to match the look of a cadaver. The body turns into an object. It's bizarre as hell. Till a $286,000 painting was discovered by an art historian because he was watching Stuart Little with his daughter noticed it in the background of this scene. It had been purchased for cheap by a set designer who had no clue it was a world-famous painting believed to be lost since 1928. I am surprised he told them what it is, rather than just low-key trying to track it down and buy it before they realized what it was worth. Lamau at an art historian paying great attention to Stuart Little movies. This looks like an old movie and I just googled is Stuart Little still alive? I feel stupid. It wasn't lost. It was where it was meant to be and not in some rich, money laundering, oil-rich tosser's mega yacht. But I digress. Ooh, I didn't know there was a Stuart Little movie. I absolutely loved E.B. White's books as a child, especially Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web. Do remember the animated cartoon movie of Charlotte's Web? Till theory of sexual selection says giving gifts increases males' chances of mating amongst heavy competition. Some species of spiders continue to hold the gift between their legs even after sex starts, refusing to give it up and running away with it as soon as the process is over. Need to find an empty Tiffany's box that will fit between my butt cheeks. Spiders probably evolved all them legs just to hold more gifts during spider orgies. All I'm hearing is that the old dick in a box trick works with different species, not just humans. Real G spider ain't giving shit to those gold digger bitches. And that, kids, is why male spiders are often being eaten by the females. Remember that when you grow up, female spiders hate him. Learn how this male spider discovered a hack for free infinite sex. That's why human women evolved to always get the money up front. Till there are filial laws in the USA state by state that require adult children to support sick or indigent parents. None of these laws are generally enforced at all with the sole exception of Pennsylvania, where nursing homes can and sometimes do pursue children for unpaid costs. Here's a good breakdown of the laws state by state. Exceptions are made when the adult children cannot afford caring for their indigent parents or if the parents abandoned them. However, I couldn't find anything about children who were abused by their parents. That seems like an absolute nightmare scenario. I wonder how this works if the kids do not live in the state the parents do? Seems like an easy way out of being caught by these laws. Just move. Till about Sandcastle, a beach house made of steel concrete, which can survive 250 miles per hour winds. I know it's expensive, but it seems more strange homes are built in areas with hurricanes that can't survive hurricanes. If you can't do this, you probably shouldn't be living on the beach to begin with. My great uncle built like 2 of these houses in Panama City, Florida. He would brag about the 6 miles of rebar he used to build them. 251 miles per hour, and it's gone. More like Sandcastle. That one 251 miles per hour wind gust waiting around the corner. The tornadoes will just increase to 251 miles per hour. When will this arms race end? As the earth and shore around it erode and it sinks into the ocean fully intact. Amazing future reef. Till in 2022, BMW offered subscriptions for customers in the UK that would enable them to use their car's heated front seats £15 per month or heated steering wheel £10 per month. The fuck does this mean? For £200, those with chilly hands can enjoy a warm wheel for as long as the technical prerequisites are met for this vehicle. Anything that is already built into my car, physically, should be mine to own without subscription. Fuck these car companies. Wonder how many potential buyers said nope. I refuse to buy any car that has a subscription associated with it on principle. Do you want coders to jailbreak your car? Because that's how you motivate coders to actually do forward to the awesome features that BMW never could have imagined. Mate's got a 3 Series and bought a cheap OBC connector, and with the right software enabled loads of disabled features. Till only 4% of mobile users consume more than 50 gigabytes of cellular data a month. How did they all end up on my family plan? Am I crazy to not even be remotely surprised by this? Who's using 50 gigabytes off of mobile only? Why is this written like that should surprise anyone? I had an unlimited plan forever and only recently realized that even as a power user of tech, not phone specifically, I can do a 4 gigabytes plan just fine for 1/10 the price as I was paying. Crazy. I would argue that 4 is mostly people that can't get decent hardline internet where they live probably. Ever since I downloaded my Spotify playlists and Google Maps hometown, my data usage has been really low. Me sitting here crying when I hit 100 GB halfway through the month. XD. I rarely use over 1. Till that after 5 divers became trapped in a Paria fuel trading company oil pipeline, when making repairs to the pipe, with only one of them surviving, Paria admitted they had no rescue plan, citing that they had no legal responsibility to rescue the men. When they say sucked into the oil pipe, were they submerged in oil and wearing diving suits? I work in the diving industry, and one of the key elements to any project is an emergency preparedness plan which details what to do in case of any accident and who is responsible for what. The deaths of these men was avoidable, and both the diving company Paria are culpable and should be held accountable. I watched a video about this accident in late September. It was an awful accident that was made worse by how the oil company handled it. It shouldn't be hard to find, but if you aren't into those sorts of documentaries, it's best to avoid. I see someone else saw that recently dropped of Volume 6 of the darkest videos on Till that by suppressing the expression of certain genes specifically for beak development, scientists were able to grow a chicken embryo with a dinosaur-like snout instead of a beak. They're going to make actual dino nuggets. Did they spare any expense? Gentlemen, I have made a discovery of monumental proportions, but you may ask me precisely 0 questions about how. Am I the only one who wishes they would let these chicks actually hatch out and keep going for full-on dino rather than terminate them once they achieve the desired effect? So chickens with no peckers, can they suppress the bone development entirely so it's just a mass of juicy tender meats? Why does this article not include a picture of the chicken? I know birds branched out from dinosaurs. If they were able to suppress enough genes, is there a dinosaur the modified bird would most resemble? I'd be willing to pay good money for fried chicken snout. Why not let it hatch slowly? Love to see one fully grown up. Till that right before the Vietnam War, US President Eisenhower acknowledged that 80% of Vietnam population would have voted for the communist Ho Chi Minh. France came to America and asked us to help get their colony back. After World War II, the European powers tried to take back their colonies, and these places wanted independence instead. Vietnam fought. The Japanese in the 30s-40s. The French in the 50s. America in the 60s. China in the 70s. Can't win a war if people won't accept the government you're trying to force down their throat. We had to learn this once again with Afghanistan. And we'll surely fail to learn it again and again. That's why they needed to false flag in the Gulf of Tonkin. It's why any action in response to an event needs scrutiny. It's too easy to get people on side by attacking yourself. Yes, cause he was there, George Washington. Till that the famous "I'll have what she's having" line from the film When Harry Met Sally wasn't in the original script. Billy Crystal suggested it after he and Meg Ryan improvised the entire orgasm scene. The two were originally supposed to discuss faking it without an actual demonstration. Now they saw the "I'll have what she is having" sandwich, and have a sign for the table they sat. Whose mother was that? Billy's? Rob Reiner's? Had a very fleeting amount of knowledge about When Harry Met Sally before I watched it with my girlfriend one date night. Seriously, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Timeless classic with so much feeling in every way. Billy Crystal is seriously underrated these days. Well, at least somebody linked the scene. They are both like, "Don't need to practice, let's do this." They were originally supposed to only discuss orgasms until Meg Ryan suggested that she should actually simulate an orgasm. This was because of Jeopardy, was it? The CEO of a large corporation working 80 hours a week is not the same as an average employee working the same amount. There's a disturbing number of CEOs in modern times who just live along the lines of get hired, make mind-bogglingly stupid decisions, get a lot of money, get fired, get hired by the next last CEO of Unity, just to name one. I had a CEO that pointedly stated that he worked on Saturdays and then followed up with, "I don't expect everyone" was the first job in over 20 years where I was not getting blasted with comms 7 days a week. CEOs like to count golfing with their other CEO buddies on the weekend as work. The local police chief always said it could be worse. Outstanding. That got a good chuckle out of me. Bravo. Things are never so bad they can't get worse. Why did you give the family a name? People only usually give the characters names in a joke if there's going to be a pun. I was waiting for the pun but there wasn't one, and then the joke was done. Formatted well. No spelling or grammar mistakes, something of a given on Reddit nowadays. Hilarious. I would suck your dick if I could. And in that case there wouldn't be $100 on the nightstand. Hey, someone actually posted a funny joke. The chief was done with his Woody. You gotta stand for something or you'll fall for anything. What is nastier than people realize? I read an article of a study of bowling alleys. Researchers found higher than expected amounts of fecal matter in the finger holes of the common balls. So there was an expectation, and that got blown out of the water. Ice machines in restaurants, Crohn's disease and ulcerative to drug company ads. Most people think it's just about going to the bathroom a few times a day. There's never any mention of fissures, fistulas, fevers, extreme pain, extreme fatigue, depression, anemia, drug side effects, joint pain, painful and horrific surgeries, mouth sores, skin disorders, etc. The kitchen sink and the area immediately surrounding it, keyboards and phones. When the badass riff comes back but slower, your man. Wash that thing. I can see the dirt from your window. When I was 13, I dreamed of having a girlfriend who had huge tits someday. At age 4, successes. Not peeing in your age 12, successes. Having age 17, successes. Having a driver's age 25, successes. Having age 35, successes. Having age 45, successes. Having age 55, successes. Having age 65, successes. Having a driver's age 75, successes. Having age 85, successes. Not peeing in your pants. Big tits are a dish best served before 40 Shakespeare. Attached to every great pair of tits is a person. Huge tracts of land. Dick Ditton. I learned from the joke I'm 43 and am broke because my wife now has big tits, but money well spent.